Hello and welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host, and today we are going to be talking about the top 7 tips that I have for those of you traveling to Disney World with toddlers. And a lot of these are intertwined because I think that there's actually really one major tip that I would offer you going with a toddler. Now, I have a 4-year-old son. I have been with him as a 3-year-old and as a 4-year-old, and I kind of went with him as a 2-year-old also, kind of near the end of him being a 2-year-old. And I only have one child, so it's a little different for those who have two toddlers going at the same time. But there are some really good tips that you can get. And I promise you, the first one that I'm going to give you is going to help you the most. And you don't always realize it because I didn't always realize it so much until I started booking so many people at the different resorts that I was booking at, because I do have favorite resorts that for certain groups of people that I always recommend. And it never like dawned on me that I was like grouping them like this, like, oh, this is what I would suggest. This is what I would suggest until I sat down and thought about it. If you're new here, I am Lauren. I'm a travel advisor and I am trying to help you have a very smooth vacation so that you can enjoy wherever it is that you are going, Disney, Universal, or cruising, and just enjoy your trip. Sometimes people get very stuck that there has to be tons and tons of planning, all the stuff that you need to do. Well, guess what? With a toddler, we all know we can plan all we want, but they kind of dictate how our days go sometimes. So let's talk about this. And I actually have a few that I didn't add in here that I'm going to talk about at the end that just might be some helpful tips for you. So, when we're talking about toddlers, I'm talking about kids typically that are walking, that are, between the ages of like 2 to 5. So let's talk about this. The first one that I would really talk about, this is like my number one thing, is when you have toddlers, you really want to make sure you pick out the right resort and you have the right space, because I know as the major caregiver of my child always wants me, like always. So when we go on vacation and it's time to go to bed, if I don't have separate space, that can really affect me because I feel like I don't get 1 second of alone time. And that drives me nuts. Like I'm a person that needs their alone time. So picking a resort that will allow you to have your own space as adults and your own space as kids. I think this is like the number one thing. And at Disney, there are different resorts that offer this. I think the deluxe resorts that are the Disney Vacation Club, you could purchase those with um, for cash. I think these are the number one place to stay. These are pictures in the Riviera. It's the newest resort. What I like about the Riviera Resort the most is it's a smaller resort, so it's very manageable. It's on the Skyliner and it just has this space. And I'm not talking like, oh, okay, there are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom grand villas. They do have studios, but again, you're all in the same room. So that's, to me, that's like just being in a regular hotel room. That's just if you like the resort and you like it. But for toddlers, like this area out here is like your living room area. So you could have one toddler sleeping on just this fold down bed. And then over here on this couch area, in the back is a Murphy bed, and you pull it down and it becomes a queen size bed. So right there, if you have 3 kids or 3 toddlers, you can put them all there. Or maybe you have 1 or 2, then one can be here, one can be on the bed, or they both can be on the bed, whatever it is. But then if you look, well, this is kind of a misleading thing because this goes out to a balcony, but there is a door like right here that goes into the adult bedroom. Like this is your own bedroom. You're closing that door and you have your own space. So obviously most toddlers go to bed before us adults, but we do know that we also go to sleep often around the same time too. But we can have our wind down time. We can, you know, you take a shower, just relax, just have no one talk to us for a few minutes. That's why I really like this area. And again, this is like a pulled back view in the Riviera. So this is that view that you have of where the kids can sleep. But then there is a full kitchen. And again, I would love to say that with toddlers that it's super easy to travel with them all the time, but I think having that full kitchen just makes my life a little easier because you know what? Sometimes I want to go to Epcot and do food and wine, and I can give them mac and cheese in the room beforehand, or I can make them a sandwich beforehand and they're happy. And then I can just buy them snacks along the way. Sometimes touring plans don't always equal when our kids' feeding time is. So having that access in the room all the time, because you can order groceries and they'll just be there when you show up at your resort, and then you'll just have them and then they're in your room. A lot of us order our groceries online. So if you just change your address to be at the Riviera Resort or whatever resort you're staying at, then you have your list of things that you already do every week. And you could just, decide what stuff it is that you want and have it ordered there. It's so easy. And for some reason, when I'm at Disney and I have to do a little cooking, it doesn't seem that much for me. I love cooking though. I should also say, like, I love cooking and making everything from scratch. So I don't make everything from scratch when I'm at Disney, but I still do like a little like cooking stuff like that. And it really does help. And as an adult, you don't always want to like sacrifice, like, it's okay to stay at a nice hotel with a kid and have your space too. So, like, this bathroom is quite large and I really like it. There's two doors to get into it. So you can close it off so that you can just enter or your kids can enter as they need to. And they do, I would say at Riviera, they probably have the smallest tub. This tub makes it look super small. It looks bigger than that when you're there. But there's a tub then for the kids because there are resorts at Disney World that do not offer tubs. So they only offer showers. So you want to make sure too that when you're staying, if you need the tub, you have that tub. And then, I mean, do we need to even talk that you have your own washer and dryer in your room? Like, come on. I don't like to do laundry any more than the next person, but when it's in your room and you could just like throw it in, throw it out, like, it's perfect. Every day we would just throw in our laundry from the day and we could wash it. If kids want to rewear things, we know we all have our special shirts that we have to wear and all that stuff. Then you don't have to worry about it. It's in your room and it's just very easy. You could start it before you go. When you come back, throw it in the dryer. It's just so much easier. I think that DVC, the Disney Vacation Club rooms, are amazing for toddlers. So the other thing is when you're picking these where you're going to stay, you want to make sure that you're staying close to the parks because we all know how hard it is to get toddlers ready in the morning and how much work it is just to get them out the door. And so you don't want to be thinking like, oh, okay, now I have to get on a bus and then I have to travel for 30 minutes. Then I have to get off the bus and I have to go here. Like, you want easier days. So being close to the parks or being closer to the parks is really helpful. So buses are great and everything, but I really think that the other transportation options are really nice. So if you're staying at the monorail resorts, that would be Contemporary, Grand Floridian, or the Polynesian. This allows you access to both Magic Kingdom and Epcot. For all three resorts, you can be walking also to the Magic Kingdom. There are boat options also. So you have the monorail, the boats, and walking all as options for you. That makes getting to the Magic Kingdom so much easier. Like, you could just get on the monorail and then it's fun for the kids. Like, riding the monorail is fun for the kids. Maybe taking the boat is fun for the kids. So there's different options of being close to the park that makes it much more manageable as an adult to deal with getting your kids to the park. Because you might set a goal that you're going to get out of the room by 8 o'clock. And maybe you don't hit that goal and it's like 8:15, but okay, you're at the Contemporary, you can walk over and you get there by 8:30. Done. So that does make a difference as opposed to trying to leave at 8 and getting on a bus, waiting for 15 minutes for the bus, getting on the bus, traveling to the parks on the bus, and not getting there till after 9. That's a huge difference. That's a huge time saver. It's a huge relief of not so many transitions with kids. So I'm also a special ed teacher. So some of these things are just, things that I know that any kid could deal with. Now, there's also the Skyliner. So, if you don't know me, the Skyliner is my absolute favorite thing in the entire world. And I think the Skyliner is such a fun place to go in with your kids. It's its own experience. My son loves going on the Skyliner just to go on the Skyliner. Even when we go to Florida and we're not going to Disney, he's like, "Well, I know you can ride the Skyliner." So sometimes we'll drive to Disney and we will just ride the Skyliner and he'll ride it for like an hour. So it's a fun ride for kids. And when you're walking out of your resort and you could just get on the Skyliner to either go to Epcot or Hollywood Studios, again, it makes your life easier. Now, if you have a double stroller, you do not always fit in getting in through those doors. So sometimes you have to collapse it. But if you have single strollers, you can roll them right in, but just be aware of that. Also, if you're at the beach club, boardwalk, or yacht club, you can walk to both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So there are pathways both ways that you can go. Typically, Epcot's a little closer to beach club, and yacht and Boardwalk Inn are a little closer to Hollywood Studios. It is still a little bit of a walk, I will say, but sometimes, like if you're staying later at the parks and you don't want to have to deal with anything, you as parents can be pushing that stroller back while your kids are asleep, and you could just walk at a regular pace back to your hotel and get all the way back up there and then just place your kids in bed. And that does make all the difference of the world. Like, you have such an easier trip when you make it so much easier on yourself. So, the third thing you want to think about are the pools. So, obviously, at Disney World, there are water parks, but you don't always know if your kids are going to like the water parks or things like that. And staying at a deluxe resort, even a moderate resort, you're going to get those water slides. And so you'll be able to use water slides at the actual resort. So here is a picture of the Polynesian pool. And I did my best to get everyone out of the picture, or at least blur it up a little better for people. So if you see, this is a water slide right here. So this is available to you anytime that you're at your resort if the pool is open. So your kids want to go down the water slide, great. This is like, it's such a fun pool area at the Polynesian. It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend these. Another thing is at the beach club and yacht club, they actually share a pool. So up here, that is this one. And they kind of have like a lazy river area. They have a pirate ship in the background. They have a water slide. It's very large. It's very popular too, but it's just a really fun place. There's a sandy bottom for kids, so that's a good option. And then this is at the Grand Floridian. This is one of the splash pads for the kids. This is like beyond what you would get at a value or even a moderate resort. Is you have this splash pad. And I'll talk a little bit about like how and when like we use the pools and how it's best when you have toddlers and you're using pools in a little bit. Another thing is food options. So, food options as an adult, you don't always want the same foods that your kids do. Your kids are not always eating a ton of food. So, the good thing is if your kids are under 3, they're free. So, you could take them to any of these restaurants and they would not be charged food. But one of the other benefits of staying at some of these deluxe resorts is that they have character dining in your hotel room. And it's so different when you have to go to a dining reservation and it's, somewhere else, or you have to, travel for it, or you're at the parks and then you go to a dining reservation instead of just, taking the elevator or walking down to the restaurant. And I think character dining is perfect for toddlers because you're not entertaining them. The characters are entertaining them. And that makes a little bit of a difference because I remember the first time we took my son to Chef Mickey, and it was his first character dining experience. And I actually got to eat my food, and it was still warm. And that made a huge difference to me. Chef Mickey is not, it's what do you call it? Family style. So they bring out the food that they offer to everyone at the same time. And then characters are coming around. So you're not dealing with like a whole buffet issue where you have to get up, get the food, sit down, and then you eat, then you go and you get your food and you sit down. It does make a difference if you do character dining where they just bring you the food because it allows you some time to actually eat as an adult, and it does make the experience more enjoyable. So I really do like that. And if you want more food, they'll bring it out to you. But then you can also kind of portion it out for your kids and they can try things. And if they don't like it, that's okay. But it just makes it much easier. Ohana at the Polynesian is opening up soon. So I know people are excited about that. And then there are nicer restaurants that your kids can go to at these hotels. So Citricos at the Grand Floridian is only open for dinner, and it's such a great option, I think, because there's the windows that you see here, they kind of look out onto the pool, and there's a lot to see actually for kids or even for adults when you're looking there. And it still can be a nice restaurant, but there's still stuff that's there for kids. And so that's kind of nice. A lot of the resorts, the deluxe resorts, have these nicer places that you can bring kids and it's fine. Like you're at Disney World. That's the whole point. So you can have these nicer dining experiences there, or you can hire a babysitter and you and your partner can go, or whoever you're traveling with can go, or maybe grandma and grandpa are there and this is one of the easier ways that you can get away for an evening because you're still at the same resort, so you can be on call, but you can also enjoy a really nice meal. Now, Topolino's Terrace, which is over here, this is at the Riviera. And in the morning, this is a character dining experience. And in the evening, it's a fancier restaurant. So it gives you those two options there. And I really, really, really love this restaurant. I think it is the best. It has the best views. I can't say enough about it. And it also gives your kids an opportunity to see the characters outside of the parks. So you're not so concerned when you go to the parks that you have to go meet all the characters. Because meeting the characters is time that you can use in the parks, but it's also can be hard for your kids to wait in line to meet a character. And I will say, the line area that you wait for characters is pretty boring for most of them. So this just offers you a bunch of characters and a meal and entertainment all while you're there. Okay. Now, number 5 is my ticket type. And this might be super controversial to people, but if you are staying at these easy resorts that are by different parks, if you're staying at a monorail resort, you are staying by Magic Kingdom. If you are staying at one of the boardwalk hotels, Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, you are staying near Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And the Riviera, you're a Skyliner away from both. So I really think that having that park, a ticket that's going to allow you to go to different parks, different days, that park hopper pass is really going to help you. And I know that some people are like, oh, no, 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 no. But I will give you a great example. I think Animal Kingdom Day is a great day to park hop. And I also think that when you're with a toddler, you need to think about when they're the best in their day. So my toddler is the best the first half of the day before lunch. And I'm not saying like he's bad afterwards, but when we go to the parks, he is really into riding the rides in the morning. Like he wakes up, he's super excited. Let's do the rides. Let's go to the parks. Let's do it. Then we come back like midday and nap and whatnot. And then we're going back to the parks. And he kind of wants to just explore more and just kind of go with the flow and maybe we'll ride one ride, but he really likes doing dining at dinner time. He likes doing more of those things. So you kind of have to know your kid. And that's how my child just works on a regular day basis. In the morning, he wants to do a lot of things. We want to go to the park. We want to go for a walk. We want to go outside and play. We want to do this. And then in the afternoon after his nap, yes, I'm blessed with a 4-year-old that still naps for a long time. That he now can he wants more like restful activities. Like he wants to be inside more. He wants to relax more. He wants to help make dinner. He wants that real like quality attention time after his nap. Um, so you need to know how your kid is and what they're going to do. So I really think that park hopping is a good option. If I'm staying at the beach club and we go to Animal Kingdom that morning, then I try and go to Hollywood Studios or Epcot that night. And I might make like one Genie Plus reservation for something that night. But a lot of it, like if I show you this at Hollywood Studios, my son just loves looking at it. He loves looking at Slinky Dog go around its track. He will never get on Slinky Dog, but he loves just looking at it and seeing it and just being excited about it and walking around. And he likes going into some of the shops. And he likes to see how things are different. Sometimes we do some of the show stuff, like the Muppet Show at Hollywood Studios, or if we're in Canada, he absolutely loves the African section. There are drums and like xylophones there. That's what he talks about all the time. When can we go to that fun section in Epcot? And I'm like, okay, well, anytime, because there's no wait for that ever. And it just kind of makes your day easier. Like, okay, we're going to try rides in the morning. And then in the afternoon, or in the evening, we just kind of see how it goes. Because it's really hard to plan a whole day with a toddler starting at 7 a.m. and seeing how things go. And I will say, I have wasted money on individual lightning lanes. I have wasted money on Genie Plus for the day. And I just kind of get over that because for me, it was easier to say, like, I think this is what we're going to do. And now I've learned that, like, okay, let's just plan the first half of the day and we'll see how we wake up from nap rest time and go from there. Like the newest thing that my son likes is nighttime swimming. The last time we went to Disney World, he wouldn't even go near the pool. And now he's so into the pool that that's all he cares about. So you have to know your kid. Now, I've talked about this a lot, but your rest options for the day. If you have a toddler, you need to know that you're not going to be going full force from park open to park close. That's just not going to be great for anyone, and it's not sustainable for days because typically your kids have some sort of relaxing time, and you also have that space from your kids while they're doing their rest and relax time, or if you're lucky like me and you still have nap time. So, my biggest suggestion is that you take advantage of early entry. Now, you have to, again, know your kids because some kids are all about, going to the parks. And yes, sorry, I have a comment. Yes, Brooks. Animal Kingdom is the best in the morning for the safari ride because the animals are out and about. So at nighttime at Animal Kingdom, understand that Animal Kingdom closes a lot earlier than the other parks. So typically it closes at 7. Sometimes in the summer it closes at 8. So you won't even really do this. The safari won't even be open that late at night. For you always to do it. It closes during dusk. The safari ride closes earlier than some of the other rides. Sometimes it closes an hour before the park closes, or the last bus will go out the last hour because of that. It does take about 20 minutes to ride. So it's not one of the rides that you can like jump into the line as the park is closing and they'll still take you out. They do offer a nighttime Savannah tour, but your toddlers are not normally age appropriate for that. And I think it starts at 9 or 10. So I've never done it because I don't have, when I have my kid, I can't do it. So I would say Animal Kingdom is definitely more of a morning park for toddlers. And they do have the boneyard at Animal Kingdom, I will also say. And the boneyard is basically like a big playground. And I'll get to like in my final tips, I'll talk a little bit about like kids' playtime because that is important as toddlers too. Now, for planning your day with your toddler, I think early entry is the best thing for you. And I say this in the nicest way, but early entry helps you get a lot of stuff done, even though it's just 30 minutes earlier than when the park opens. Now, it's going to be easier if you're going to do early entry and it's the parks that are near you based on where you are. Animal Kingdom is the hardest one because to get to Animal Kingdom, every resort needs to take a bus. So you just need to know that. You can also take a minivan, drive yourself, Uber, Lyft, all that stuff to Animal Kingdom. But if you're going to any of the other three parks and you're staying near them, then it's easier to do early entry. And like I don't know, I just thought all toddlers got up early, but sometimes they don't. So like my toddler is ready to go at 7 a.m. easily every day. So we go. We just get up and go. Like if he's ready, we're just going to try and get to the parks and get there as soon as possible so that we can just go and do our rides. And we'll do our rides. I do Genie Plus with my son because I find it's easier for me. And then we might eat lunch there. We might come back to the resort and eat lunch, and we rest there. My son takes a nap. I sometimes take a nap. I can't always nap. I'm like, I'm in Disney World. I need to be awake. Um, so either my husband or my mom, whoever's with us, will also stay with my son so I can go out to the parks. And then when my son wakes up, we go to the pool or we do like playtime. And I sometimes bring like frisbees or like a ball and just take my son out and just do that playtime because toddlers still need their playtime. They can't just go and do rides. They still need that like playtime, whatever that might look like. And that might be what's slowing you down when you're in the parks because a lot of times that's what slows people down. So your kids haven't had that playtime and they just need that playtime or they just need that break. So I've never made it past 1 p.m. with my son in the parks. We've always gone back after that. And that's just the way it's worked for us. And then at night, we also go back. Oops, sorry. I guess I don't have any more slides after that. At nighttime, we go back. And like I said, we might do a ride. We might not do a ride. Sometimes my son will indicate, like before he goes to bed, like, oh, I really want to go back to Hollywood Studios tonight, or I really want to go back to Epcot tonight, or I really want to go see the fireworks at Magic Kingdom that night. And that gives us like a little bit of a plan. Like, okay, at least I know what park we're going back to tonight. But my son never wants to go back to the same park we've been at in the morning. He likes that change. And a lot of times that sometimes helps toddlers too. If you're leaving a park to come out to go take a nap and do something else, that's totally fine. But sometimes then you need to offer something different when you go back. You have to know your kid for that. But that's what my kid wants. And I would say a lot of times we would ask about nighttime entertainment if my son wanted to do it. Sometimes we'd make dining reservations, like at the Contemporary. You also could make a dining reservation at California Grill and watch the fireworks from your hotel at the restaurant that's at the top of the Contemporary and watch it from there. And that's really cool too. So when I say picking your resort is such a big thing, it's such a big thing. And the last thing I would say is you have to plan ahead with a toddler. And this is what I'm going to say. If you have a toddler, they're not going to be the height to go on Space Mountain and Everest for the most part. I have a super tall toddler. I know there are tall toddlers out there, but for Space Mountain and Everest, you're talking about 44 inches to ride. So you don't want to be like hyping up your kid like, hey, we get to ride Space Mountain and Mount Everest. And then they get there and they're 36 inches, which is like almost, a foot below what they need to be to ride it. And you also don't need to force your kids on a ride. And I know that sounds so hard, but there's this like push and pull of, do we make the kid go on this ride or not? And I have found that like my son will say it over and over and over again, like, please don't make me ride it. Please don't make me ride it. And I'm not going to push him. Like, we're here to have fun and I want Disney to be fun for him. So I definitely don't want to push him to do any rides that he doesn't want to do. It always goes back, always on the last one. Another thing, if you're at Hollywood Studios or if you are at Animal Kingdom, Rock and Roller Coaster, I think, is 48 inches. So you're definitely not having a small kid ride this ride. And Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom, which is the most popular ride, is 44 inches. So you want to make sure you're not like really talking up these rides with your kids. You want to think about things that you can actually do with your kids. And a lot of them easily are not the like most popular rides. So if you're thinking about like Magic Kingdom, you could be like, okay, well, Peter Pan and Jungle Cruise might be the most popular rides. So maybe that will use Genie Plus for. Those will be our two like ones that will really try for Genie Plus. And then, we'll see like maybe there's like a small, like goofy roller coaster at Magic Kingdom, and it's less than a minute and it's very tame, I think, as long as you're sitting in the front half. If you're sitting in the back half, not so much. And as an adult, make sure your knees can fit in there. My husband does not fit in, but I do. And that's a great roller coaster to try out with your toddler and see if they even like it. And if you can't even get them on that, then you could be like, okay, we can just find the rides that have no height requirement, and that's what we're going to stick with our kids, because there aren't like tons of rides that have height requirements. There are some, but there aren't like a ton at each park. I would say I think Hollywood Studios has the higher height requirements, and Animal Kingdom has the least amount of height requirements for per like based on all the rides there. So you can kind of just see what it is that you want your kid to do. And I do have a free resource. It's probably not down there, but I'll put it down there after this, where you could kind of plan like what rides you're going to try for when you go. And I always recommend, that goofy small roller coaster at Magic Kingdom. See if that's something that your kid likes. If they don't like it, it's totally fine. That will help you to decide how to go forward and what to do with your kids. Now, another like small tips that I will also say going with toddlers is you always want to bring snacks with you. Like, I don't know, isn't your purse already filled with snacks bombs? So I always have snacks that I bring, and it's snacks that I don't normally let my son eat so that he's more excited about them in case we're waiting in line. And I always have his water bottle with us so that he's going to be thirsty. Another thing is you have to stop for bathroom breaks. Whether they're in diapers or whether they're potty training, you need to be stopping for breaks. We try to stop about every hour, every 90 minutes, and it does take up some time. I will say I always look for a family bathroom to take my son in, because he is so afraid of those automatically flushing toilets. And it doesn't matter. Like there's you could put a sticky note on the back of a toilet so it wouldn't flush, but that's not the part that scares my son. It's every other toilet that's also flushing. So they do have at almost, I don't know if it's at every place, but most places will have those special restrooms that are for families. And it's good if you have toddlers and if you need to change a diaper. It's just nicer to not be around like, I don't know, 40 people while you're changing your kid's diaper and they're squirming around and you're like, stop moving. And or if you have two and you're trying to hold on to one and change a diaper, it gets a lot sometimes. So this way, your partner can also take your child in and take them to the bathroom while you go first, maybe, and then, switch that way or whatever it is. But it just makes it a little easier for you to use those family bathrooms. Strollers. I bring you. No, I've never brought my own stroller to Disney World. I've always rented one, and I've rented one to just come to the hotel. And I have found that that is just easier for me. I do not like to fly with it because it's like I got to check it, and I got to take it out, and I got to wait for it when we get off the plane, and then I got to push it. And sometimes it's just more trouble than it's worth. If you're doing a double stroller, just think about, would it be easier if you had two single strollers? Will your kids absolutely always be together? And would it be easier if you have one adult, obviously you got to do the double stroller. But if you're two adults, you might want to do two single strollers. It's much easier to manage. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is. You each take one, one kid might be in one kid might be walking, there's all different types of things, but you can get on the Skyliner if you have a single stroller and you don't have to fold it up. It's a little easier if one of you needs to take one kid back and not the other, because we all know kids don't work on a perfect matching schedule either. So there's a lot of stuff when you have toddlers and you're going to the parks that you can do to make your life easier. But these are my like top tips. My number one tip absolutely is just pick a resort to make your life easier. Just do it. Yes, it might seem like more money to you, but you have to understand that if you're trying to enjoy your trip with your toddler, that this is going to really, really help you with that. So, all right. Thank you. And thank you for your comments. And thank you for interacting. I will try and put that information about like choosing what rides you want to ride, that checkoff sheet. I'll put that below a little bit after this video goes up. And I will talk to you next time on Magical Travel Adventure. Bye.